you just have to get used to it. Like people are not going to agree with you. Some will be rude about it. Some will be respectful. And so I've gotten really comfortable with having like thoughtful debates on posts and in content. And that's also directly or indirectly helped me start to challenge my own perspectives, especially when it comes to like the limits or the limitations that I put on myself in my career.
Welcome to the Friends with Benefits podcast, a business podcast about revenue generating partnerships, not a podcast about business time with friends. We're your co-hosting couple. I'm Jason.
And I'm Sam. Welcome to the show, friends.
Welcome back to the show, friends. Today, I think we've got a pretty rocking show. We've got a Unapologetically Professional joining us today.
Agreed. Yes. I loved this episode. I took a lot from it. It made me feel like I can do more in my life because she gets so much done.
Yeah, it seems like, I mean, she went through her schedule, what she does, all that she's doing. I was tired by the end of the show just thinking about it all.
So if you've ever been on LinkedIn, I'd be floored if you haven't come across today's guest. But Brianna Doe joined us today, which we're really excited about because she is a published author.
Ooh, that's a big one.
That is a big one.
Not many people can say that.
Yeah, she also is the founder of Verbatim, and she has a podcast, she has a newsletter, she has a YouTube show.
A really great YouTube show. Thought it was really, really fun, really well done. And she's just kind of doing the things that she wants to do, which is what we're all about here. Do things you want to do in the way you want to do them.
And don't fit into other people's boxes, which is what today's conversation is all about. So go follow Brianna. Enjoy today's show. Friends, thanks for being here. All right, friends, welcome back. We have a friend who has a lot of benefits today. I'm so excited to actually chat with you because I think this is, well, we met really briefly at a conference at Chilipalooza, but I'm not going to consider that a conversation. So this is the first time that we're having a legitimate conversation.
Like we had dinner together at B2BMX 2 years ago.
Yeah. I can't believe it was 2 years.
And
I know,
jealous.
really.
So Brianna Doe has nothing going on. She is the founder of Verbatim. She recently just launched a show and media company, Let Her Cook. Maybe most exciting, I'll let you decide this, but is releasing a book. Is the author of The Unapologetic Professional. Her LinkedIn presence is larger than life, but I think she writes in a way that so many people are like, oh my God, me too. So I'm so excited to chat with her today. Brianna, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. And that was the kindest intro I think I've ever heard. So I appreciate it.
All of it's true. I didn't do any of that. You did. So.
Well, I appreciate it. And you're right. I have nothing going on. I'm very bored. So if there are projects you want me to work on, just let me know.
I also feel like that's the title of another good show for you. It's like Brianna Doe's got nothing going on.
That would be really nice.
Sounds like a sitcom series, maybe.
I would do that. I'd produce that.
Just add it to the list. Okay.
Right.
I wanted to start here because I think it does kind of summarize everything that you talk about. I'm going to assume it summarizes what's in your book. But in launching the Let Her Cook, the first line of that post was, I'm tired of watching talented people shrink themselves to fit LinkedIn's definition of professional. So let's just start there. Say more. What does this mean to you?
Yeah, well, I meant it. I am tired of it. I mean, you could plug in other social media platforms too, Instagram, TikTok, but I think LinkedIn is a unique platform in the sense that you're asked to bring hints of your personal life, I guess, depending on the person, but mostly your professional life and your career, like onto the stage or onto the social media platform. And I don't know about YouTube, but I think it's just so easy to like get stuck in this LinkedIn bubble where you build in public and you share all your revenue numbers and you only talk about the good things that are happening, or, you know, all the humble brags or whatever the case may be, or you start to like hide certain parts of yourself that you think maybe wouldn't resonate with people, or people would tell you, you know, take that to Facebook instead. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the one downside of LinkedIn is that I think a lot of people struggle to figure out how to show up on there in a way that feels like authentic to them without feeling unsafe. Because you say the wrong thing, you offend the wrong person, quote unquote, it could impact your career in a way that it really can't on Instagram or other platforms. So I think it's easy to shrink yourself, but I think it's more important, especially in this day and age, to come to the platform with what makes you unique and be comfortable in that and be confident in it.
Yeah, we talk a lot about like bringing your whole self right into the equation, into the situation, the life, work, everything that you do. It's like, we're not a work self, we're not a, home self. We should be a, fully integrated self. And we talk a lot about bringing that whole self in. So like, what was that moment or that impetus for you where you realized that like you needed to show up in more of a whole self and be fully you, and how that led to kind of a more freely liberating experience and all the things you were doing?
That's a great question. So I would say it's been kind of a decade long journey. When I first started my career, I was working in house and always in the office. Remote work was not an option. And so, being a 20 something first gen Black woman in candidly like predominantly white spaces, it doesn't feel safe to bring your whole self. Like it's a privilege you just don't really get to have. And I spent a lot of time feeling really insecure and feeling really uncomfortable and about everything, like my hair, the way I spoke, the way I laughed. Like I just never fully felt safe enough to be authentic. And remote work really shifted that for me. Like when COVID happened and we had to work from home, I just had one, you had a lot more time to think. There was nothing else to do. But like I just did a lot of thinking about that. And at that point I was tired. I'd been stuck in this cycle of burnout for about 8 years or so, and I could not figure out what it was. And I do think a big part of it was, you know, that kind of shrinking that you do. It does chip away at you and it does exhaust and drain you. And so by the time I started posting on LinkedIn, there was no way in hell I was gonna like hide who I was. I mean, one, I was sick of it, and two, I was sick of being burnt out. And when I started creating content on there, I didn't see a lot of Black women doing that. Like it was a couple of years ago, and so a lot of people in general weren't doing it. But I didn't see a lot of people that looked like me, and it just felt like a really cool opportunity to start having those conversations and start dissecting my career. And I've always been a writer, like through and through. I love it. It's my preferred medium. And so it felt really comfortable and safe to dissect my career in the written format or in the written word. And when I started seeing how people connected with that, like I've had a similar experience or I had a manager like that too, it just empowers me to keep going.
So can we go back to that version of Brianna who is deciding, okay, I'm going to put myself out there, I'm going to start. I think it's I don't want to say it's easy to talk about it now, but hindsight's 2020. What were you feeling in that moment? Because I'm sure it wasn't just like, okay, here I go, wide open.
Not at all. One, it was horrifying. So like I said, I love to write, but I was used to creating content for brands. So you have that, that shield or whatever, because you're using the brand voice or it's on the brand account. Or if I was ghostwriting for a CEO, it was their voice, not mine. You can hide behind it, And when I started getting on LinkedIn again for job hunting, I was staying on there longer because I was seeing more people create content and like talk about what they were learning at work. And so it took a couple months, but I kept thinking like, okay, is there something I want to say? Do I have a voice in this? Actually posting was terrifying. I think I worked on my post for like a week. I second guessed it the entire time. I clicked post and then immediately logged off and didn't check it for a day. And I was like, it'll be fine. I'm going to come back and nobody's going to have seen it except like my mom, because I told her about it. But I came back to, I think, like 10,000 likes or something, which was
what?
Oh, wow.
It was not great. Like I was horrified. Not what I expected. Like my DMs were blowing up. And so I logged off again. I didn't respond to anybody.
Ignore that.
And then I think I got back on a week later and tried again.
A month later? Is that what you said?
No, like a week or a couple days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're taking the post and ghost to a whole new level here.
I was the ultimate post and ghoster. But yeah, it was cool. I just wasn't expecting anybody to see it. And so it like empowered me to keep going, but that initial feeling was definitely fear.
I mean, I guess obviously that was one post. You kept going. Talk about kind of what you've learned over the past several years and how just that initial post set you out on this journey that's gotten you to where you are now.
Yeah, like when I first started posting, I assumed I would talk about marketing, like what I was learning, things that were happening at work. I think I posted about marketing twice, maybe 3 times, and I was so bored. I do it all day. Like the last thing I wanted to do in my free time was analyze a marketing campaign. It's like, this is just not working. And so when I sat down and I just remember thinking like, okay, if I could talk about anything, if I treated this like a journal, what would I talk about? And I've had kind of a colorful career. Like I shifted industries a million times. It took me a while to figure out what I wanted to specialize in. And I didn't have a mentor or anything like that, which is something I'd always wanted. So I made a lot of mistakes, did a lot of things right. And I was like, okay, if I could talk about anything, I would want to start talking about that, like analyzing and understanding my career and some of the things I went through and some of the things I learned and figuring out what I can share that will help somebody else. And so that's been my North Star the entire time. Like I always try to write for 20 to 25-year-old Brianna, like regardless of where this person lives or, what field they're in, like what are the core fundamental elements of your career that you can learn from, from me, so you can kind of avoid the same pitfalls and just have a smoother journey.
I like that you take the LinkedIn approach of like, what would I write if this were my journal?
Yeah.
Like, how do you encourage and coach others to write in that approach, or do you encourage them to more find their voice and like whatever they want to be talking about? Like, what's your approach to helping others like find their voice or strategy and what they want to talk about that allows them to be fully themselves?
Yeah, I always recommend people just start with asking themselves, what do they care about? Like, and just make a full list. It can be related to work, it can be related to your personal life. Just what are the areas or things that fire you up? If you were to go grab brunch with a friend, what could you rant about, like good or bad, for hours? Because I think that's where the gold is. I think where people, fall flat, where they get stuck, is when they start trying to create content that they just think other people want to see instead of talking about what interests them. So I always start there. And with your voice, that can be hard. Like I feel lucky in the sense that because I've been writing stories forever and I studied film and media, like it just comes very naturally to me to write. It's not the case for a lot of people. So
Right.
I actually recommend, like, if you don't feel comfortable with it or you don't know what to say, just get the words out, just like ramble in a Google Doc. Don't worry about how it looks. Don't worry about posting it, but just start getting used to articulating your thoughts, getting clear with them. You can always work on hooks and formatting later, but you're not going to learn what your voice is until you actually start getting the words out.
I feel like that's such a good exercise for people too, just to get out of their own way. And, even if you never post it, but it just lives, it's like cathartic, honestly, to just go through that motion for nobody but yourself. So,
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's therapeutic. I think you'll start to notice things that you missed. Like even as you're just writing down one story, there are going to be elements of that story that you didn't even pick up on before that you can, dissect or talk about too. But if you just get stuck in your head, like mulling over the same idea, you're going to get stuck in analysis paralysis.
Love it. So
yeah.
I'm kind of working through this theory and timeline in my head of the Brianna Doe has nothing going on story.
Podcast
like,
launching 2026.
Seems like in
Added to the list.
how did kind of coming out of that COVID scenario and feeling that empowerment and showing up more fully and authentically as you, like, set the course for what you're about to do for the next 3 years of your career? Like, how did that give you the confidence you needed to begin doing the things you were about to do and the companies you're about to start, book you're about to write, and stuff like that?
One thing that I did not expect to learn from creating content on LinkedIn was how to get comfortable with being challenged, like having my thoughts or perspectives challenged. And that, I would say, has probably been the most life-changing or career-changing thing for me, because you just have to get used to it. Like people are not going to agree with you. Some will be rude about it. Some will be respectful. And so I've gotten really comfortable with having like thoughtful debates on posts and in content. And that's also directly or indirectly helped me start to challenge my own perspectives, especially when it comes to like the limits or the limitations that I put on myself in my career. Like I've always wanted to write a book. I thought I would do it when I was 60. Like people will take me seriously after I've been in corporate for 40 years.
After I've done this.
Right. Like once I've hit this milestone, like that's when I'll do it. So I started challenging that perspective. Or like, okay, I don't want to launch my own business until I specifically didn't want to do it until I hit the CMO role. I was like, before that, I won't have the credibility or legitimacy to do it. That also wasn't true. And so I've gotten really comfortable with being uncomfortable. I actually kind of like, in a weird way, like crave that feeling of discomfort because it's given me an opportunity to prove myself wrong. And I do attribute a lot of that growth to LinkedIn, which does it have to do with the content I'm creating? Yes, but I think it even more so just has to do with like challenging the way I've lived my life and approached my career because the things that have happened because of LinkedIn are insane to me and it never would have happened if I hadn't started. And so I just remind myself of that whenever I want to try something new.
Okay, I want to just segue to this really quickly because you just posted this and I'm like, I have such girl jealousy. I'm rooting for you immensely, but also like goals. You interviewed Guy Raz. Like, hello.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, I feel like I peaked. Like, I am obsessed. And I told him this to his face.
So
I
am I.
obsessed with your podcast. Kind of obsessed with you, but like in a professional way. It was probably the coolest experience.
Okay, I can only imagine. And I love how you talked about you know, these things just kept happening because you kept saying yes to scary things. You know, you kind of just talked about this, but you learned about being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like, I'm sure that the bar just keeps raising. I'm sure. Like, there's a difference between writing your first post on LinkedIn and then interviewing Guy Raz. But honestly, maybe there's not. Like, maybe the feeling of fear is the same. It's just directed at different things. Talk about how you overcome that now as the bar keeps raising.
First of all, I love that point. Like maybe the fear is the same. It's just like I love that. Maybe we just elevate it in our own heads or amplify it. I think you just have to become kind of obsessed in a healthy way with proving yourself wrong. Like I think so many people spend so much time self-rejecting. You never even give yourself the opportunity to try, which is kind of sad. Like who knows how many opportunities you've missed out on just because you thought you couldn't do it. And the advice I've always heard is, like face the fear and do it anyway, which great, hard to put in practice. Like I still have to face the fear before I do it anyway. But one thing I've realized actually from getting tattoos is that the time is going to pass anyway. Like I can spend it doing the thing that I want to do, even if it physically hurts or makes me uncomfortable or I'm scared. Or those 3 hours can go by and I didn't do the thing that I was scared of and I didn't get to grow and I proved myself right. Like I proved that I couldn't do it. And I just don't want to live my life that way. Like I don't want to look back and think, man, maybe I would have crushed the interview with Guy. Like maybe I would have done a great job, but now I'll never know. And I'll never get another opportunity or an even bigger opportunity because I didn't put myself on that stage to like try it out and get the feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. One of our, I think, Arcadia principles here is like to do hard things or to challenge yourself. And I think it's more than just like proving yourself wrong. I think to me, it's like proving to yourself that you can. Like enough, we don't challenge ourselves enough to do hard things to see like what we are actually capable of. We get extraordinarily comfortable with average. We set our bar of average to a certain place that maybe feels high, right? And then we just kind of coast there. Maybe that bar of average is beyond that of other people in our circles, and we feel like we're doing good, but we coast, but we don't continue to push that bar of average higher by continuing to challenge ourselves and doing harder things. And so, like, overcoming that fear is a matter of like, to what Sam was saying, is like just saying yes to those scary things. We'll never figure out like what we're capable of or ever get to the point where we can interview a Guy Raz. And if we don't start saying yes to the smaller, scarier things now, like the more you say yes, the less scary those scary things become.
Exactly. And, when Content Marketing World reached out about me doing the interview, they specifically said it's because they'd heard me on my podcast, Off the Scroll, and they liked the way I interview. So, like, saying yes because I said yes to starting a podcast, which I was also scared to do, and because I kept saying yes and releasing new episodes, like, it's all a ladder. And so I think you just have to think of every decision as it's getting you either closer to what you want or closer to this new version of yourself or actually farther away. And I do think a lot of it boils down to curiosity as well. Like,
Yeah.
I think about that with the gym too. I'm really curious in how much like my human body can handle. Like how much can I push myself? What am I actually capable of? If you're not curious in that way, you're never really going to grow.
Yeah. It's almost like you need to ask yourself a question like, what happens if? And then fill in the blank.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you just talked about like, well, first of all, you said a yes ladder, and I love this. I am having like a out of body experience, and there's like an image in my head. And
I love it.
so, first of all, a lot of amazing things have happened for you in the last year, which is like so great. And we love to see it. You've gotten married, you've launched a ton of things, you're releasing a book. You recently just said, I don't have a dream job anymore. I have a dream life that includes work I care about. I want to know more about like what this looked like for you and how really intentional this was. Like, did you write down what your dream life looked like and then you reverse engineered it? Did it feel that calculated? Like, as you start to put yourself into the world and say more yeses, I want to know how you're determining what you say yes to and what you say no to make this dream life.
Oh my gosh, I love that question. Also, I'm glad you ordered the book because I talk about this in there. So for me, it boils down to three main things: creative freedom, financial freedom, and joy. So if an opportunity is placed in front of me and it doesn't directly or indirectly lead to one of those or all of those options, it's going to be a no. And that does mean I have to think longer term as well. Okay, so if I say yes to this client right now, I might not have as much creative freedom because they know exactly what they want and there's no flexibility in there. But like this account is going to lead to a new level of financial freedom that'll help me feel more joy in my personal life. So it's, give and take with some of the opportunities, but those three pillars have really just helped guide what I can say yes to and what I say no to. And I will say the joy piece is the most important. I guess I'm going to turn into a therapy session. Like growing up, I spent a lot of time alone. Like my brother and sister were always my brother was always in detention. My sister was always like at track and stuff. My dad was always working and my mom was always working. And so one thing that's always been really important to me is carving out time with my friends and my family and the people that I love. I just think that you just don't get a lot of time with them. And so if I have to sacrifice that, that's sacrificing a piece of my joy. So it better lead to some level of financial freedom or creative freedom that lets me experience more of that joy later on. So that's been really big. And I try to keep that in mind all the time. It can be hard, especially if I get an opportunity that sounds really great, but in the long run, it's just going to take me away from my husband for 3 weeks, or it doesn't pay enough to actually justify, the amount of effort and time, but it looks nice. Like I still struggle with that decision, but for the most part, I just ladder it to one of those three pillars.
Love that. I like we call it the algorithm or the reverse engineering of joy, right? Like most people are trying to find what those things are that bring them joy, as to where like you're just looking like, oh, I just want to be in a state of joy and peace, and surround yourself with the opportunities to find the creative freedom and financial freedom in that state that you live in, instead of like putting yourself in a job and it's like, okay, where can I find joy here? It's like, joy is the center of what you build around. I think there's a lot to learn from that, and I think Sam and I have this conversation a lot around like, what brings us joy, what do we want to do, and what are the things that make us happy, and then we'll figure out how to make the rest of it happen, and not so much get hung up on the fact that it's got to be creative freedom and financial freedom first that equals joy, but it's the other way.
Exactly. And I think it can be hard to your point. I think you bring up a good point. You have to know what actually brings you joy. Like you have to know yourself
Yeah,
well.
that's a big one.
And it takes time. Like it takes hard work. I worked on that for quite a few years, like just getting down to the basics of, okay, who is Brianna? What do I enjoy? What makes me happy? What brings me peace? Like separate from what I think should bring me peace, or separate from what I think, success should look like. But I'm glad I did the work. I think everybody should.
And I think one thing that's important to call out here is, I don't want to project on you, but I know that when I got married and or insert other life change, when I had kids, like those things change or maybe just shift a little bit. And it's important to take a moment and evaluate how that affects decisions and the way that you spend your time. Like when Jason and I were single, it was a lot easier to say yes to like travel and, do all that. And now we have kids and it's like, that's not going to work the way it used to. So that's also an evolving conversation. It's not like a set it and forget it for the rest of your life.
Right. Well, I think to your point, Brandon, it's like you have to get to know yourself. And like in any relationship, you have to continue to get to know yourself. It's like, you can't set it and forget it. Like you said, Sam, it's, I'm feel like I'm constantly on a journey. It's like learning who I am and like what I bring into the relationship with myself. And like with that is like what brings me joy now, now that we're parents, now that we are, you know, homeowners, entrepreneurs, and all this stuff. Now it's like the things that we've chased these things because that's what we wanted in our life. That's what we believe to bring joy is like, getting married, having kids, starting the job. And so like, yeah, I think it does evolve. And with that, what evolves is, who I'm becoming and how I'm relating to myself.
That's a great point. To both your points, like your career is going to evolve, your life is going to evolve. It doesn't make sense for the way you define success or the way you define like joy and peace to stay the same. Like, why wouldn't that evolve too? I was smiling when you brought up like the life change of getting married because it has been an interesting one. Like, I would just get up and travel.
Yeah.
Like, who's gonna ask me questions? Now I go to my husband. I'm like, I think I'm gonna go to New Zealand in December. He goes, okay, we're married. It's like we should talk about it first. So
This is an us decision now.
hey girl, let's talk about it. So it's just funny how that plays out.
Yeah,
Absolutely. All right, so you've mentioned you've got a book coming out, your first book. You love to write.
Yeah.
So talk to us about like where did the idea to write this book come from? Tell us the book title, what it's about, and where the idea came from, real quick.
Yeah, so it's called The Unapologetic Professional. It's been a labor of love. Like I said, I just assumed I'd write a book when I was retired and had all these years of experience to talk about. But Wiley, the publisher, reached out last summer, and the acquisitions editor was just like, I've been following you on LinkedIn. I love your content. Have you ever thought about writing a book? And I was like, I have, yes. So we hopped on a call.
Funny you should ask.
Right. And I actually ignored the email at first because like, this feels like a scam. She reached out like 2 more times. And I was like, yes, let's hop on a call. So we hop on a call, we chat. She asked me a bunch of questions. She goes, okay, so let's start working on the book proposal. I'll send you over the information. So I work on it. I'm still like, this isn't going to happen. So it'll just be good practice. I kind of work on it. Like it takes me like 3 months to work on this book proposal. She's like following up. I'm like, why are you taking this so seriously?
You're like, I have
It's a
40 years to
proposal.
finish this. What are you talking
Right.
about?
You don't need this until I'm 70. And then we go through a couple revisions and then I get an email and she's like, your proposal's been greenlit. And I was like,
Oh,
okay, I guess I'm writing a book. So then I panicked and didn't write anything for 3 months, which do not recommend. That was not great. And so I originally, like the book proposal was something about like learning how to scale your business in the modern economy. So like in this, era of side gigs and side hustles, like what it looks like to scale. And I had a really interesting conversation with my editor. I think I was like 3 chapters in. And I said to her, this just isn't at all like the book proposal. Like, I'm not talking about scaling businesses at all. The first couple chapters have been about imposter syndrome. I mapped out the outline. And as I'd done
So
that,
what you were writing didn't match the proposal.
it did not match
Okay.
at all. I was like, I'm writing about imposter syndrome right now. And then I want to write about like how to redefine like professionalism and success. And then maybe something about like untangling your self-worth from your job title. Is that okay? And she goes, yeah, that actually typically happens. You write the proposal and then the book ends up totally different. So she encouraged me to keep going. And that's what it turned into. I layered in some stories and, personal experiences to make sure it's actually relatable, but it's really just filled with like frameworks, what I've learned about how to navigate all of that through the lens of being like a non-traditional professional. So first gen, LGBTQ plus, person of color, like fill in the blank, whatever it is, it does bring its unique challenges, even being a woman in corporate. And so how do you practically like build your career, but build a career that you're proud of and that feels fulfilling and that it doesn't feel like you have to put a mask on every morning when you go to work, but you also don't feel like you're putting your livelihood at risk. You know what I mean? So I'm really proud of it. Like I said, it was a labor of love, and I really just hope that it impacts people and helps them and just helps them feel more seen.
Wow. So when's the actual release date?
November 11th.
11/11.
Yeah.
Was that on
Yes.
purpose?
No, it was actually November 10th, but they moved it to the 11th, which
Okay.
works for me.
There's some synchronicity in that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, congratulations. Like, what an accomplishment. I have no doubt that it's going to change people's lives and worlds. What is this doing for your career? Like, are you going on tour? Is this opening up more opportunities for you? Or are you just like thrilled to have this labor of love in the market?
Above anything else, it just feels really meaningful to have created this body of work that I'm proud of. Like I'll always have that title for myself and that experience. Like I am a published author. And I just think that's something that 8-year-old Brianna really wanted. Like I've always wanted to write a book. So I'm just really proud of that and I'm really excited about it. I also I do want to focus more on speaking engagements in 2026 and beyond. Like doing the interview with Guy Raz is exactly what I want to be doing. I love moderating, I love hosting. So my hope is that that helps me, catapult onto larger stages in that regard. But outside of that, like I just can't wait to hear people's feedback. I genuinely hope that people take things from the book that resonates and apply them to their careers and I get to see that positive impact.
I mean, I
Love
think
that.
it's so awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so one thing you just talked about, which is obviously going to be a through line in your book, so maybe there can be a teaser here, but you've talked about kind of like the mental math that we all do internally of what's acceptable to bring to work, which parts of ourselves, which titles, all of that. So let's break that down for a second. Like anybody who's in that actual season and is struggling with that currently, but they're still trying to like make a paycheck and build their career. Like I feel like sometimes it can feel like we're choosing between the two, like my identity or my livelihood, or we, as we talked about, we totally silo the two. What advice would you give to these people to kind of protect that identity without jeopardizing a livelihood?
That's $1 million question. I've been told I take kind of a pragmatic approach to it. Look, in a perfect world, you could show up exactly as you are in any office and be accepted, and that would be beautiful. And not just accepted, but like celebrated and seen.
Embraced
And
and
that's just not the case.
in the
And
HR positive way.
right.
Yeah.
You walk in the office and everybody's just cheering for
Yeah.
you. Like that would be wonderful. It's just not reality, especially in an increasingly divided just environment and country. It's just not how it is. So the first thing I'll always say is somebody who just wanted to pursue financial stability, especially early in my career. Like if you need the paycheck, it does not make you a sellout if you just show up, work hard, get your money and go home. I think it is idealistic to say otherwise, like to say that, just quit the job, just walk away. There's nothing wrong with being idealistic, but it's just not reality. Things are expensive. I tried to buy eggs the other day and it was like $97. So it just doesn't make sense,
And 12 cents.
and 12 cents. So that's the first thing. It doesn't make you a sellout. It's okay. It doesn't even really mean that you're compromising. It just means that you're protecting yourself and you're taking care of what you need to. But I would also, I would advise while you're collecting that paycheck and while you're working, start to get to know yourself better. Like, what are you looking for in a work environment? What are you not getting from the one that you're in? From the ideal work environment, what would you be getting? And what steps can you take to move yourself closer to that new job, that new company, that new venture, whatever it may be, that will allow you to feel more you and to show up as you. And I also think it's very, very important to make sure you have community around you, like find like-minded people that will make you feel supported and who you can talk to and who will encourage you. Because it doesn't make it easy. Like collecting that paycheck is great, but it doesn't make the in-between, easier to handle. So make sure you have community, understand what you're looking for in a work environment so that when you do start interviewing or you do launch a business, like you ask the right questions and you can interview that person that's interviewing you and make sure that it's going to be a good fit.
Just really quick, Jay, because obviously you know about this. You know about everything. But I have said no to jobs. Like I was interviewing for this job that was like a should job. Like it was a great title at a great company. It was like gonna be a definite step up. And the whole time through the interview process, I was just like, I don't know. Like basically I told the woman, I was like, listen, I'm a mom of 2. And while I will show up and give you my best every single day, like that is my number one priority. And that doesn't mean I'm going to be a bad employee, but that does mean that I want to go to Christmas recitals. And occasionally I'm going to have a kid home on my couch because they're sick and I'll be working. But I basically was told, well, you're a working mom. and that's a choice you made, but you need to choose between the two. And I was like, and I'm out. This is not a place for me. But to your point, I think just as a practical example, like I think oftentimes people forget that in the interview process, you are also interviewing the company. And if you've done the research to know what's important to you and where your values stand and all of that, then it makes those conversations so much more helpful and impactful for both parties, because that wasn't going to be a good fit for me. And clearly I wasn't going to be a good fit for them. And so I think that's a really important point just to double down on, because oftentimes people are like, oh, well, I'm going to say whatever I can to get my foot in the door. And then you're just going to end up in another bad situation.
Right. Do you want your foot in that door? Like, is that a door you really want to go through?
Part of like the economy right now is like desperate times. People feel like they've just got to get in any door they can. When really, I think, and I talk to a lot of people in this scenario, it's like, kind of have a checklist, whether it's written down or mental. It's like, what do you want out of the next role? Whether you're actively looking while you're in a job, you're kind of open to work and you've gone through a layoff, but like take the time to actually know what's important to you, because it kind of goes back to that authenticity and that fullness of self of like, if you find a place that allows you to be fully you, I think you're going to do much better work. And find a place that's more fully you is like, this is the place that I want to be. This is the work that I want to be doing. It's not just the job I'm taking because, I need a paycheck. And I understand that may have some privilege attached to it, right? But it's also like, this is how I want to operate and work, and this is where I want to be. And I don't think enough people go into, their job search or their quest thinking like, these are the things that I want to see within a company.
Yeah. And I think too, to your point, if you are in a desperate situation, I know people that have been looking for over a year, it's also okay, like I said, to take that job and take the paycheck, but that does not negate the fact that you need to have your exit strategy. Like, you need to have a light at the end of the tunnel, or it's just going to drain you. So if this is a job you have to be in and you want to just suck it up and deal with it, that's totally fine. But how are you preparing to get out? Like, how much are you saving from your paycheck as like a safety net for yourself? Are you interviewing in other companies? Like, you need to make sure you have a game plan, or you could end up there for 10 years and wonder why you didn't leave.
To go further on that, I think people look at this as like, well, it's just a job. Well, your job is your life. And if you're spending 10 years there, like, that's going to have profound impact on like everything else. And so you posted the other day about, I'm not going to get this right because I didn't write the name of it down, but like, you made a calculator.
Yeah. Should I quit my job?
Yes. Tell us about this, because I loved your thought process around this, because I think we idolize like, just quit your job and start a company. And like, yeah, that'd be great. But the reality of that for 99% of people is not high.
Right.
So talk to us about said calculator and what goes on in your head.
It was so fun to build. So Notion reached out and wanted to do a partnership, and they were like, work with you to make a template. What kind of template do you want to make? And I was like, I want to help people quit their jobs. They're like, okay. Amazing. Basically, the way you use calculators, you plug in everything you're working on, your side hustle, your full-time job, and you get granular. Like, how much am I pulling in per month from this? You rate your stress level with it, your like peace of mind or quality of the peace that you're feeling, like how excited you are about it, and just your overall satisfaction within that role or that venture. And then basically it takes all that information and calculates each like job or side hustle for you. So, okay, if your stress level is 10 and you're also like a 3 in overall satisfaction, but you're making the most amount of money from this because you also plug in, your monthly bills, you're making the most amount of money and it's actually funding your life. I'm not saying you should quit, but you should start looking at other avenues that you can offset the amount of money you're making from this and start building a game plan. If you have a side hustle that's making you like pennies each month, but you're so passionate about it and you want to build it, like, here's a sample game plan for you on how to start to scale this. If you have a side hustle where you're kind of on the brink of being able to fund your life with it, stress level is relative, depending on the job, but your satisfaction is really high, like, keep going after that. And so I love the name I picked, but I don't want to tell people just go and quit your job. To your point, like it's not reality for most folks, but I think it also helps to sit down and just
Make a plan.
make a plan and actually write down all of this stuff. Measure how happy you are, measure your stress levels, actually get technical about how much money you're making. So I think it's easy to just be like, I think I'm making money from this. I'm just gonna quit my job and go for it. And then you quit and you can't afford like your car payment next month. You know what I mean? It's just not realistic. So get all the information out there and then I'll tell you if you should do it.
The next iteration of calculator is helping you make that exit plan you were talking about.
Yes, exactly.
That's hilarious. Okay. I missed that one, so that's pretty good. I got to go find it and check it out now. Speaking of finding things, I was recently, thanks to Sam, introduced to your new YouTube channel.
Cheers.
Oh my gosh, did you watch?
I did. I watched it. Yeah.
$18.99 orange juice, girl.
Okay. Seriously, just because it's organic, I was so upset.
Tell us about Let Her Cook, the YouTube channel, and what you're doing from a media standpoint.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. So my good friend Bridget and I met on LinkedIn 2 or 3 years ago, and I went out on my own, and then a couple months later, she did the same. And so for some reason, we connected on LinkedIn about that, and we just started having these like Google Meets or Zoom chats. Slowly, wine started being brought to the Google Meets and Zoom chats, as it does. And so we called them wine sessions, like whining and wine. And we would just sit there or cook together and we would talk about everything like relationships, politics, work, what's going well with our businesses, what's not, how we're navigating like bringing on clients, firing clients, just anything you can think of. And it was all remote because she's in Chicago and I'm in Phoenix. And I think we did that for about 8 months, once every couple weeks. And we were just sitting there one day and she was like, should we like record these sometime? Like, should we like make a podcast? I was like, yeah, we could. We could. I had just finished up Stop the Scroll, like the first season. And I was like, candidly, I just don't know if I want to do another Zoom podcast right now. Like in a perfect world, especially because of the way we talk and what we're doing while we're talking, like cooking or eating or drinking wine. Like I wish we could do it in person. It sucks that you live so far away. And then we're like, well, what if we did? What if we cooked together and just recorded this show? So when we first decided to do this, it was just going to be the show. No newsletter, no Instagram, no anything. We brought on a production team and it's Share Your Genius.
We
were
share a
talking to
production team, by the way.
Do you?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, aren't they the best?
The best.
It took us a while to find the right one. Like we talked to a couple teams and I feel like they just didn't get us. Not in a bad way, but just like they didn't get what we were trying to do or why we were trying to do it. You know, you kind of get that look like their eyes glaze over. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Like, what?
Like what?
Why are we doing this?
Yeah, we can record that for you. It's like, okay, forget it. When we talked to Rachel about it, she just got it. Like it just clicked. And so I flew to Chicago. Bridget and I met for the first time in person. We did the trailer where you see
For
me
the first time. You hadn't
For the
met each
first
other in
time.
person. Okay.
No, which yeah, looking back, we're like maybe we should have at least
That could have like gone either way.
could have gone really badly, really badly. So we went shopping, found that ridiculously expensive orange juice, and then spent the whole next day. We recorded the full season in a day. So
The full season?
mhm.
Wow.
It's a lot of cooking.
It was a lot of cooking, but we're filming this and we're having all these conversations, and then Bridget and I get dinner that night, and we're like, it just felt like more than a show. There are just so many like podcasts and shows out there that talk about the same things. That's one reason why I love your show or your podcast is because you bring on such dynamic guests and you just have such real and transparent conversations. There aren't that many podcasts like that, especially like in our space. I think especially for like women and non-binary professionals, there's even less. And Bridget and I just wanted to create this space where we could have really honest conversations about like how to fire that client that treats you like crap and what happens when like a client doesn't pay an invoice, or how do you know if you should launch a business, or how do you get promoted like in your career? What does it actually mean to advocate for yourself? Just creating a space for those conversations where people can anonymously learn and feel seen. It's really important to both of us. So we decided to launch the newsletter, which gives us just another outlet for that. And then the goal is to record the next couple seasons and hopefully at some point like launch more shows, produce shows for other people, just create this space for them.
So great.
The media
I love
empire.
her.
Jason and I are recovering YouTubers. So
Yeah.
cheers. We admire it is no small feat.
We know the
So,
work.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. I've never done YouTube before. It's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah,
it's
a
a fun medium, but it's a lot.
It's a commitment, to say the
It
least.
is.
So
It is. And I'm relaunching my original podcast in Q1 of 2026. It will also be YouTube first. And I'm just like, it's going to be great.
All in now. Get one show and you got the
just keep saying yes to scary
Just
things.
keep going.
All right. Well, to be mindful of time, this has been so great. I do have one zinger of a question
Yeah.
to close this out. What's a hill you will die on?
Professionally?
Yes.
Or,
We can take it either way. If you want to go personally, that's fine too.
ooh. Okay. A hill I will die on. Oh, you know what? I don't think we as a society have an attention span problem. I think brands just churn out uninteresting content. So I don't think it's an attention span issue. I think it's an interest span. Because when people ask, is my caption too long? Is my LinkedIn post too long? Is my newsletter too rambly? If it's good content, people will read it. So I will die.
I
on
love
hill.
that. I agree with that
Thank
too. All right. So clearly, as we've mentioned, you have nothing going on. So if people want to find you, LinkedIn, if you don't follow her, like seriously, go right now because her content is going to make your day. New book launching on November 11th. We'll drop it in the show notes. Let Her Cook is a YouTube channel, obviously Instagram, a newsletter, and then also you run a company, Verbatim.
And I have my other newsletter.
Okay, so there are lots of ways
Lots
to
of
connect
newsletters.
with you.
Yeah, I don't like to sleep, apparently.
Thank you so much for being here and for sharing so openly with us and the
Absolutely.
world. You're making it a better place, and I hope you know that. We appreciate you immensely.
Such a
Thank
good
you.
conversation.
Thank you. It means a lot. Thanks for having me.
All right, friends. Hopefully you got as much as I did out of today. We will see you next time.
See y'all.